Nobody saw this coming. Not the fans, not the industry, and certainly not T.I. himself. Just hours ago, an event unfolded that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. A moment so heavy, so unexpected, that insiders are already calling it the end of an era. Tiny Harris, T.I.'s wife and partner in both life and empire, was sentenced. And what happened in that courtroom wasn't just emotional, it was explosive. Witnesses say the atmosphere turned deathly silent as the judge began reading the decision. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but the leaks afterward painted a picture that made hearts drop. There were tears, shouting, moments of sheer panic, and one chilling sentence that appeared to change everything forever. But this didn't happen overnight. Behind the scenes, whispers had been circulating for months. There were rumors of secret investigations, sealed documents, and allegations so serious that most people didn't dare believe they would ever come to this point. Fans brushed it off. Blogs ignored it. Even industry insiders, who usually stay alert to any hint of drama, assumed it was another rumor cycle destined to fade. They were wrong. Because what has now come to light is bigger than anyone imagined. And T.I.'s reaction, well, it wasn't what anyone expected. Some called it loyalty, others are questioning whether there's more to it, a calculated, protective instinct that borders on something more ambiguous. The critical question now is, what exactly happened? And why are so many people suggesting that this is only the beginning of a larger unraveling? Because once you consider what came out in that courtroom, the phrase, "goodbye forever," might not just be a dramatic headline. It could represent a reality that reshapes everything tied to their family legacy. To understand the weight of this moment, you have to look at what Tiny and T.I. built over the years. This wasn't just a celebrity couple. This was a dynasty. From reality TV dominance to musical royalty, from business ventures to the carefully curated image of a ride-or-die partnership, they created an empire that looked untouchable. Fans believed that no matter what came their way, they would weather it together. But the cracks were there all along. They started quietly, almost invisibly. Rumors surfaced in whispers, easily dismissed by an audience too distracted to notice. At first, these were nothing more than subtle hints in industry circles. Tiny, once praised for holding everything together, suddenly became the subject of strange, almost cautious conversations. Her public appearances became measured, her interviews guarded, and her inner circle began to shrink. Then came the first real red flags, incidents that to outsiders seemed minor, misunderstood, or blown out of proportion. But insiders say this was the moment the unraveling truly began. Allegations started surfacing, small at first, almost imperceptible, but serious enough that people in the industry began asking questions. Every time a report emerged, it vanished almost as quickly. Posts would circulate briefly, only to be deleted. Accounts that tried to dig deeper went silent. Even bloggers, who normally thrive on controversy, backed off. It began to feel orchestrated, controlled. It wasn't random anymore. It was precise. Meanwhile, T.I. and Tiny maintained appearances. Public smiles, family photos, interviews, all carefully crafted to show normalcy. But for those paying close attention, the tension was palpable. There were subtle hints, forced energy, awkward pauses, moments where their composure didn't quite align with the situation. Fans began noticing too. Social media was full of questions. Why does Tiny seem different lately? Is everything okay behind the scenes? Something feels off. Behind the public facade, however, quiet investigations were already underway. Evidence was being collected, testimonies reviewed, and documents examined. According to sources, Tiny may have known the gravity of the situation. There were instances where she allegedly attempted to downplay or ignore warning signs, believing it would never surface publicly. But it did. As time passed, whispers grew louder. Old clips resurfaced. Past interviews were reanalyzed. Events from years prior were scrutinized, with people asking, was this a clue? Did we miss something? The pressure intensified. Media outlets began circling, and T.I. stepped in publicly, defending Tiny fiercely. He dismissed the allegations as attacks and falsehoods. For a time, the narrative seemed under control, but behind the scenes, the investigation was gaining momentum. The turning point came with a leak, a concrete piece of information that couldn't be ignored. Documents, audio fragments, and timelines emerged that didn't match the official story. Once these details reached the right hands, events escalated rapidly. Legal teams got involved. People who had remained silent for years suddenly spoke out. Among them was a former NC. Dare, someone once very close to Tiny, who provided chilling revelations. This insider didn't hint or imply. They delivered explicit, detailed accounts. Leaked transcripts painted a picture far removed from the polished image fans had seen. The story wasn't glamorous or controlled. It was chaotic, secretive, and troubling. Social media erupted. Screenshots, conversations, dates, and names circulated, making it all feel too real. Authorities reportedly stepped in as the situation became impossible to contain. According to sources, Tiny panicked. Frantic calls and emergency meetings were held behind closed doors as she tried to assess the damage and understand how serious things had become. T.I., true to his public persona, doubled down. He stood by her side more vocally than ever, claiming a setup, accusing unnamed forces of trying to destroy their legacy. Yet this time, even the most loyal supporters were hesitant. Old clips resurfaced. Interviews that once seemed harmless now appeared suspicious, inconsistent, or revealing in ways they hadn't before. Piece by piece, a new narrative took shape, one that contradicted the years of image building the couple had maintained. Then came the day of the official court proceedings. No cameras, no public announcement, just a controlled, quiet process. Insiders say that moment crystallized the reality. This wasn't rumors. This wasn't celebrity drama. This was serious, and it had the potential to undo everything. Tiny was reportedly shaken in the courtroom. The atmosphere was tense, heavy, suffocating, as if every person in the room felt the weight of the moment pressing down. What was expected to be a single allegation spiraled into something much larger. A second layer emerged, suggesting a pattern, a deeper and more troubling sequence of events hidden for years. Even the most vocal defenders went silent. The focus shifted. The conversation was no longer about a single misstep or isolated incident. It became, how long has this been going on? Who else knew? And who might be implicated? What followed changed the narrative entirely. Within 48 hours of the initial proceedings, a wave of leaks crashed across social media. This time, the information was structured, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. Carefully compiled threads laid out video clips, timelines, and evidence with chilling precision. At the center of these leaks was an insider even closer than the first, a person claiming direct knowledge of critical moments under scrutiny. Their revelations included precise locations, dates, names, and sequences of events, directly contradicting the official story Tiny and T.I. had maintained. The contradictions were stark, undeniable, and explosive. Social media didn't just react, it detonated. Hashtags like Tiny Verdict, T.I. Family Secrets, and Justice or Setup trended relentlessly, flooding timelines with accusations, analysis, and calls for accountability. Comments poured in. This timeline matches whispers from 2019. Her reaction in that old clip makes total sense now. I defended them for years, and now I feel completely misled. Even celebrities began posting cryptic messages, hinting at revelations that were long overdue. Fans split sharply. One side insisted Tiny was being set up, a victim of targeted attacks. They've always been hated on. This is just another smear campaign, supporters argued. The other side, however, cited the precision and consistency of the leaks. Too many sources, too many details. Something serious is going on here, they countered. Authorities reportedly stepped up their involvement. The legal process became public, and the pace of events accelerated dramatically. Tiny was drawn into formal proceedings filled with witness testimonies, legal arguments, and evidence that insiders' claim was far more intense and revealing than anyone imagined. Inside the courtroom, sources describe a palpable shift in energy, a moment when it became clear that the outcome would be significant, not just for Tiny, but potentially for the larger network of people around her. Allegations expanded beyond a single individual, hinting at a broader web that, if substantiated, could impact many more than previously thought. And that's where we stand now. A story that started as whispers, rumors, and subtle warning signs has exploded into a full-scale public revelation. Tiny Harris's sentencing isn't just a headline, it's a seismic event, one that could alter everything about how fans, insiders, and the public view the Harris family legacy. The debate exploded across social media, with fans and industry insiders arguing passionately. Was Tiny's sentencing a targeted takedown, genuine justice, or part of a far more complex story than the public knew? Some fans even started mapping detailed timelines, tracking every past controversy, old interview, and resurfaced clip, looking for patterns and connections. The real turning point came when voices from inside the industry began speaking up. At first it was subtle, a deleted tweet here, a mysterious Instagram story there. Then it escalated. One artist posted bluntly, "Y'all only shocked because you didn't want to see what was right in front of you." An insider account added, "This goes way deeper than what's public. Trust me on that." Suddenly, the conversation shifted from reacting to the sentence to questioning the entire foundation of the couple's image. If even a fraction of the allegations were true, this was no longer just a private scandal. It could expose cracks in relationships, businesses, and reputations that had been built over decades. Mainstream media coverage arrived, but inconsistently. Some outlets framed the story as a dramatic fall from grace. Others hinted at ongoing investigations. A few major publications stayed silent, which only fueled speculation. People asked, why are key details being withheld? Who benefits from controlling the narrative? The public dug deeper. Old footage from reality shows, interviews, and family appearances was re-examined. Moments once seen as loving or protective now appeared tense or guarded. Supporters defended the couple, pointing to their history of overcoming adversity, while critics compiled inconsistencies, demanding accountability. Through it all, the central mystery remained. What actually led to this sentencing, and how deep did it run? For a couple whose brand was built on resilience, family unity, and overcoming odds, this chapter represented a profound fracture. Their empire, once seemingly bulletproof, now appeared vulnerable. T.I. remained mostly silent, only adding a cryptic post. Truth always comes out, but not always the way people think. 12 words that instantly went viral. Was he signaling Tiny's innocence, hinting at more hidden truths, or simply buying time? Analysts, fans, and body language experts dissected every nuance. His response became as significant as the case itself. Then came a shocking twist. A former associate, previously silent, released a video directly into the camera. "Y'all don't even know half of it, and when the rest comes out, it's over for more than just Tiny." The clip racked up millions of views in hours. Suddenly, attention shifted from what had happened to what might still come. The story wasn't over, it was escalating. That same night, a new leak appeared, a raw audio file allegedly recorded months before the case went public. Tense, careful, and deliberate, the conversation hinted that Tiny might not have acted alone. Connecting these clues to prior leaks, the narrative shifted again. Questions arose. Who else was involved? How far did this reach? Panic spread. Names previously unknown reportedly surfaced behind closed doors. Posts were deleted. Collaborations vanished. Even vocal celebrities went silent. And then came a second leak, a detailed document linking multiple incidents and timelines. Its authenticity couldn't be verified immediately, but the specificity alone forced people to reconsider. Tiny's sentencing now seemed like the first domino in a much larger chain. If you've been following T.I. and Tiny, You already know this wasn't just another celebrity couple. This was a dynasty. For years, they built an empire that looked untouchable, from reality TV dominance to music royalty, from business ventures to that picture-perfect ride-or-die image. They had convinced the world that no matter what came their way, they would always survive it. But what most people didn't realize was just how many cracks were forming behind the scenes. This story didn't start in that courtroom. It started years ago, quietly, almost invisibly, with rumors that people were too distracted to take seriously. At first, it was subtle whispers in industry circles, insiders hinting that things weren't as clean as they seemed. Tiny, once praised for holding everything together, suddenly became the center of strange conversations. Her public appearances became more calculated, her interviews more guarded, and her inner circle started shrinking. Then came the first real red flag, a situation that was brushed off as misunderstood or overblown drama. But according to insiders, it was the moment everything actually started unraveling. Allegations surfaced, not loud or explosive at first, but serious enough that people inside the industry started asking questions. Every time something came out, it disappeared just as quickly. Posts would go viral and then vanish. Accounts would speak out and then go silent. Even bloggers who tried to dig deeper suddenly backed off. That's when people started getting suspicious, because it didn't feel random anymore. It felt controlled. Meanwhile, on the outside, T.I. and Tiny kept up appearances, public smiles, family photos, business moves, interviews where everything seemed normal. But if you looked closely, you could see the tension, the forced energy, the moments where things just didn't feel real. Fans started seeking up on it too, social media filled with subtle questions. Why does Tiny seem different lately? Is everything okay behind the scenes? Something feels off. The fanbase split sharply down the middle. One side remained fiercely loyal, insisting it was all a setup, that external forces were targeting the couple because of their success and outspokenness. They've always been hated on, this is just the latest attack, supporters argued. But the other side grew louder and more insistent. This is too detailed to be fabricated. Too many people are saying the same things from different angles. Something is seriously wrong here. In the midst of that growing online chaos, authorities made their next move. The investigation was no longer quiet or behind closed doors. It went public, and the pace accelerated dramatically, faster than anyone could control or contain. Tiny was officially drawn into a formal legal process that insiders described as already heavy with accumulated evidence. There were closed-door sessions, witness testimonies, and legal arguments that, according to leaks, proved far more intense and revealing than the public had anticipated. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere reportedly became almost unbearable. One person close to the proceedings claimed there was a palpable shift in energy at one point, a moment where you could feel the tide turning, and it became clear this was not going to end favorably. As more details emerged during these sessions, additional names surfaced. More connections were hinted at. Suddenly, the focus expanded beyond Tiny alone. It started looking like a broader network, a situation that, if the allegations held up, could implicate far more people than just one individual in their orbit. That realization delivered the biggest shock yet. One of the most viral leaks right after a key session pointed to evidence that allegedly tied together several past incidents. These were moments that had never been publicly linked before, old stories people had forgotten or dismissed as mere gossip, resurfaced clips that once seemed harmless, and coincidences that no longer felt coincidental at all. When that pattern became visible to the wider audience, the tone of the conversation changed overnight. This was no longer simple celebrity gossip or tabloid fodder. It felt genuinely serious, with potential consequences that reached well beyond one courtroom. For the first time since the scandal broke, T.I. went noticeably quiet. No defiant social media posts, no public statements defending his wife, No fiery interviews pushing back against the narrative. That silence spoke volumes. People immediately began speculating. Why isn't he saying anything now? Does he know details the rest of us don't? Or has this grown so large that even he can't control or contain it anymore? The tension kept building, layer upon layer, until it felt almost unbearable. Then came the final, decisive moment everyone had been waiting for, the actual courtroom decision and the sentencing itself. When the judge finally delivered the verdict, it didn't just shock those inside the room. It sent ripples far beyond the courthouse walls, leaving fans, industry insiders, and casual observers asking the same haunting question. If this much has already been revealed, what else is still hidden? What hasn't come out yet? The instant the sentence was announced, the outside world erupted. Within minutes, video clips, headlines, reaction videos, and hot takes flooded every platform. Blogs raced one another to break new angles. YouTube creators went live on the spot, dissecting every detail in real time. Fans refreshed their feeds obsessively, convinced that something even bigger might drop at any second. For many, this didn't feel like closure. It felt like the opening chapter of something much darker and more far-reaching. The conversation online didn't just simmer, it boiled over. Social media timelines became battlegrounds of speculation, theory, and outrage. Users weren't just commenting, they were constructing elaborate narratives, piecing together old interviews, long-deleted posts, and reality show footage, trying to connect every dot. Each new observation added fuel to the fire, creating a web of connections that made the story feel far more pervasive than a single sentencing. Industry insiders began speaking in ways they never had before. At first, it was cryptic, hidden in tweets or private accounts. Then the messages grew bolder. Artists and executives, some of them longtime collaborators with T.I. and Tiny, started hinting at the depth of what had been going on behind closed doors. One artist's post simply read, "You think this is new? You have no idea how long this has been building." Another insider went further. "This isn't just a personal issue. This touches more people than you realize. And the worst part, most don't even know they're involved." These comments changed the way people perceived everything that had unfolded. It was no longer just about Tiny's sentencing or even T.I.'s cryptic statements. Now, the narrative extended into shadows, the hidden corners of influence, loyalty, and silence that had kept this family empire together for decades. For fans who had grown up watching their rise, it was jarring. The public image of unity, strength, and unbreakable resilience suddenly seemed fragile. Mainstream media picked up the story, but unevenly. Some outlets sensationalized the drama, focusing on the emotional angle, the courtroom tension, and the shock of a power couple facing unprecedented scrutiny. Others hinted that this might just be the beginning, carefully noting that leaks and insider accounts suggested a larger investigation at play. Then there were those who stayed conspicuously quiet, and that silence alone fueled speculation. Observers began asking, which media outlets are reporting accurately and which are protecting unnamed interests? Meanwhile, the public dissected every detail from the past 20 years of the couple's lives. Old clips from reality shows, interviews, and award shows were scrutinized frame by frame. Fans and critics alike argued over subtle gestures, carefully chosen words, and moments that had once been dismissed as inconsequential. Supporters framed everything as attacks orchestrated by industry jealousy or coordinated online campaigns, pointing to T.I.'s long history of overcoming adversity. Critics argued that the consistency of the leaks, the precision of details, and the timing all suggested genuine wrongdoing that had been concealed. T.I.'s silence, punctuated only by a short cryptic Instagram post, "Truth always comes out, but not always the way people think," added to the intrigue. 12 words that sparked hours of analysis, speculation, and debate. Was he signaling Tiny's innocence, hinting at hidden truths yet to surface, or merely buying time, positioning himself strategically while the investigation quietly escalated behind the scenes? Analysts, fans, and body language experts dissected every nuance of his post, trying to decode what was unsaid as much as what was said. Then came the first unexpected twist. A former insider who had remained completely silent throughout the initial leaks released a video message. They looked directly into the camera, calm yet chilling, and said, "Y'all don't even know half of it, and when the rest comes out, it's over for more than just Tiny." Within hours, the clip went viral. Suddenly, people weren't just reacting to the past, they were bracing for the future. What had seemed like a peak moment of scandal was now only a prelude. That night, a raw audio recording began circulating, allegedly captured months before the case became public. The tense, measured voices hinted at a network far larger than a single incident. The implications were clear. Tiny may not have acted alone. Names, roles, and interactions previously hidden from the public were suddenly being connected, suggesting a web that extended far beyond one courtroom. Panic reportedly spread within the industry. Posts were deleted. Long-standing collaborations vanished. Celebrities who had openly commented suddenly went silent. And then a second, more detailed leak emerged, a document outlining timelines, interactions, and connections. Whether it was authentic or fabricated, the specificity forced even skeptics to pause. Tiny's sentencing now appeared to be only the first domino in a chain that could disrupt multiple figures, exposing previously unseen vulnerabilities in the entertainment ecosystem. Social media became a live investigation. Fans, journalists, and insiders began piecing together events with surgical precision. Discussions moved beyond speculation. People were now debating legal implications, corporate ramifications, and potential fallout for collaborators. The question evolved: how many others could be affected, and how many truths had been kept hidden for decades? T.I.'s earlier post gained renewed significance. Truth always comes out. But whose truth? How much was still shielded? If additional names were about to surface, the scandal was no longer a private matter. It was a systemic exposure capable of reverberating through entire networks of influence. A final cryptic note arrived from a source close to the investigation. "This case isn't closed, it's expanding." 4 words that reshaped the narrative. What felt like an ending now felt like only the beginning. Observers realized that what the public had seen, courtroom drama, leaks, and social media speculation, might merely be the surface. The deeper, more consequential story remained hidden, and insiders warned it could be far more devastating than anything already revealed. The implications extended beyond Tiny and T.I. Their long-standing, ride-or-die narrative was being tested in real time, revealing potential cracks in the empire they had built. Allies, collaborators, and fans were forced to reconsider what they thought they knew about loyalty, power, and influence. Even those who had defended them publicly were now reevaluating their stance as the leaks and inconsistencies mounted. Ultimately, the story had moved from personal scandal to industry-wide ripple effect. Every new leak, cryptic post, or insider revelation changed the landscape. Questions of justice, loyalty, and hidden power structures dominated discussions. Was this the beginning of a complete unraveling or a calculated warning shot? Who else might be implicated, and how much longer would the full scope remain hidden? Social media transformed into a full-blown battlefield. On one side stood those in complete disbelief. "There's no way this can be real. Tiny, of all people, I'm literally speechless." Others expressed unease. "Something about this feels off, like we're still not getting the full picture." On the opposing side, longtime skeptics declared victory. "I've been saying this for years. Too many rumors piled up over too many years. People ignored the red flags, and now look where we are." Warnings began circulating online. "This is about to get bigger. Watch who speaks next." T.I.'s cryptic words took on a darker meaning. Truth always comes out. But whose truth? How much was still hidden? If additional names emerged, the case was no longer a personal scandal. It looked systemic, capable of rippling across the industry. A final chilling detail arrived from a source close to the investigation. "This case isn't closed, it's expanding." 4 words that reframed everything. What felt final moments ago no longer was. The surface story might only be the beginning. The real revelations, the ones insiders claim nobody is ready for, could still be coming. Now the question is clear. Who's next? When the next revelation drops, will it confirm fears or expose something even more damaging? The situation is far from over. Leaks, courtroom drama, cryptic messages, and growing silence have left the public and industry alike on edge. Was Tiny targeted unfairly? Or is this the start of a broader exposure that could shake the foundations of entertainment itself? Loyal supporters argue external forces are at play. Critics point to the volume and consistency of evidence, suggesting a larger, systemic problem. In a landscape where every new detail raises more questions than it answers, one thing is certain: the story is far from finished. The first domino has fallen with Tiny's sentencing. How many more will follow, and whose names will be attached? This is a story still unfolding. The world is watching, waiting, and preparing for the next revelation, because whatever truth is still hidden, it's far from finished.